Hey everyone, my name is Kaushik and welcome back to Let Code. In this video, we are going to talk about classes and methods in JavaScript. So far, we have learned how to declare functions and how to write functions in different ways. Moving forward, we are going to convert all our test script in page object model. So before getting into that, of course, we have to learn the classes and the methods. Using this OOPS concept, we are going to write our test scripts into page object model. Classes are nothing but a blueprint or a template that is used to mimic the real world objects. In JavaScript, classes are in fact special functions. So there is no like strict data type of classes. It is more of like functions, but of course in recent JavaScript has evolved a lot and we can use as the classes syntaxes as well. In classes, we can have methods, for example, send SMS or make a call in the class of mobile. And also we can have variables like phone model or the unlock pin. Apart from this, we are also going to learn about hoisting. That is, we know that we can declare a functions anywhere and we can call it anywhere within the same file, right? But in terms of classes, we cannot do that. We'll see that in our coding part. So within this oops folder, I'm going to create a file called mobile.js. And here to write a class, of course, we have to use the keyword called class here. And then followed by the class name that is going to be mobile. And within the curly braces, you have to write all your logics or the functions or the variable or the any member functions I can say. Now this mobile starts with the capital case, right? So we can use the camel case, that is like each and every programming language has its own coding standard. So in most of the time in JavaScript, we can use the camel case as we are using in the Java as well. Now within this, I'm going to create a variable. So here I can say phone model and we have to give some value. So this is going to be 1 plus. And please remember, whenever we are going to write any variable within the class, we should not use this let or var or const anything here. For our scripting language, we use those concepts, but in terms of classes, we cannot use that. By default, this phone model has a scope of global. That means it can be used anywhere. I mean, we can use this outside of the class as well. Now let us say that we also want another variable. Let's say that this is going to be unlock pin. So to unlock our phone, we has a regular pin, right? So let me write some pin here, right? That's fine. So instead of string, I can also make this as integer, I mean number. So that's not a problem here. Now we know that phone model we can say to our friends, relatives, or anyone. So that's not anything like private, but of course, unlock pin is going to be private. Now to declare private variables in our classes, we can use this hash symbol. That means this variable will become now private. That means I cannot use this in any other classes or outside of this classes. I will show you that in a moment. Now let us also write some functions like make call, and here I'm just going to use this log statement. So maybe calling someone, that's it. So this is how you have to write the methods. Now when we are going to write the functions in script or in the normal JS file, we usually used to write like this, right? So you introduce this keyword called function, then followed by the function method. But in terms of class, please remember you should not use this function keyword here. So even if I write this properly, that is not going to work for sure, right? So function doesn't works within the classes. To declare a method within the class, we have to make use of this method name followed by the braces and then followed by the curly braces. And within the curly braces, we have to write our actual logic. Now let us write another function, maybe send SMS. And here I'm going to say console.log sending some message, right? So that's it, fine. So in this class, we have two variables and two functions. So methods. Typically, both are same, functions and methods, but in terms of classes, it is mostly referred as methods, and in terms of scripting, they are referred to as functions. That is the only difference I found. Nothing other than that. Technically, these are functions as well. I will show you that as well. To call a functions, we know that after writing the function, we have to call that function in a script, so that is going to work for sure. But here, if I do like this, for example, if I do like this, make call here, this is going to throw me error. So let me show you that. So Control J to bring my terminal, and CD oops, so navigate within the folder. And after that, we are going to use this node command to run our JavaScript file. And if I run this, it says that syntax error, unexpected token, right? So even if I remove the semicolon, that is not going to work for sure, because within the classes we cannot run our functions or the methods. So how do we run that? Of course, we have to create the object. So to create an object, it is going to be very simple. So here I can say mobile, my mobile. So this is going to be my object name equal to new mobile. So this is how generally we used to declare objects in terms of Java, right? But in JavaScript, we should not give this class name directly here. In left hand side, we have to use the let var or const. But we know that using const is more appropriate here. The reason is very simple. We are going to create the object only once, and we are going to use that, reuse that in any point of time, I can say. So here doesn't make sense using let or var, so I'm going to make this as const here. So that's it. Now how do we call this method? Of course, using this object name, right? So here I can say my mobile dot, then here we can see we are getting this unlock pin and make call and phone model and send SMS. So here I'm just going to call this send SMS as of now. And if I'm going to run this now, so Control L to clear, and here you can see we are getting the message saying that sending. So that's absolutely fine. Similarly, if you want to display the variables, I can just log this here, and here I can say send SMS, not send SMS. So my mobile dot, and then followed by phone model or the private variable, that is unlock pin. That's it. So if I'm going to run this now, it's giving us error. The reason is very simple. We know that unlock pin is a private field. That means private variable. Now we cannot use this private variable outside of this class. So we have to use this within the class itself. Now if suppose I want to print this variable, of course I can create a method like get unlock pin, and here I can return this. So return this value, right? So unlock pin, we are returning this. Now if I try to run this, I mean call this method, so here we can see we will get this output. So Control L to clear, and if I run, we are getting this pin. Now this keyword, it is actually a keyword, that means it refers to the current class. So this means we are referring to this mobile class here, and we know that within this mobile class we have this unlock pin. So of course we can make use of that. But in terms of phone model, we can see it's printing directly because this is in public scope. That means anybody can make use of this. So here to access the private variable, then of course we can use like this. Directly it is not possible to access, because of course we know that we are setting that as private and it should not come out of the class. So that is fine, right? We have to understand one more thing as well. So we know that in Java we have method overloading, right? So that means same method name with the different arguments. Now if I'm going to try the same approach here, and this is not possible because of course we know that we have duplicates method, so that is not allowed, even though we are not getting any compile time error. But if I try to run this is absolutely fine. We are getting this sending as well. Let me write something here. So sending, maybe duplicate method, And if I try to run this now, here we can see it's giving us sending duplicate method. I will tell you that the reason in a while. Now assume that we are doing this overloading concept, that is same function or method name with different types of argument. So here we are going to say maybe a, right? So we are getting maybe you can just make this as num or phone number. Assume that we are going to get this phone number and we are going to print this here, right? So here instead of this duplicate method, I can just use the plus operator, and here I can concatenate that, right? That's fine. Now if I'm going to try to run this, here we can see that sending then followed by undefined, because we didn't pass this value. But if I go here and check, here we can see that we are calling this send SMS without any arguments. That means we are expected to this one to execute. But that is not going to happen for sure. The reason is very simple. In JavaScript, there is no concept called overloading. Whether it's function or classes method, overloading is not possible in JavaScript. We'll talk about overriding maybe in the inheritance concept, but as of now, understand that overloading is not possible at all in JavaScript. So here, if I want to call this method, I have to pass some number here, right? But you might ask me, Kaushik, you are using this send SMS, so it should run this method, right? Why it is running this method? There's a valid question. The answer is very simple. I said that overloading is not possible. So what will happen is it is going to take the last method within the class. So it will just go and check if the functions matches the same name. Then it is going to pick the last method name. So that is what happened here. That is the reason we are getting here as undefined. Now if I'm going to pass some number here, then it is going to call the appropriate method. So of course we will get this 99, but of course we know that writing this is invalid here, because of course method overloading is not possible. So I'm just going to comment this and I'm going to leave a reference for you. That's fine, right? So far we have learned what is class and how to declare a global variable as well as private variable, and also how to declare a method. And we also understood that method overloading is not possible. And also we understood that how to access the private variable using this function using the return. That is what we can do, right? Now just to show you, we use this normally. If we have private variables, of course we don't need to access those, right? So it is belong to the particular class, or of course we can use the getter and setter concept to modify the value as well. So let me show you that. So here I can just give like use the keyword called get. That means it is going to get this pin. Now suppose we want to use the setter, I have a keyword called set here, and then here I can say unlock pin. And of course we have to set the pin, right? So here I'm just going to get the value. So whatever the value we are going to get, we are going to set change this value, right? So here I can say this dot and equal to whatever the values we are going to get. So let me change this as value. That is absolutely fine. To change this value, what we can do is we have to call this method. So using the same object, my mobile dot unlock pin, and within this I have to pass my value, right? So instead of 1234, I am just going to reverse this 4321, and that's absolutely fine. After that, let us try to print this unlock pin again to make sure that the value has been changed. Now if I try to run this is going to give me error. So let us see what is going to give us. So here it says that it's not a function. Get unlock pin, it's not a function. The reason is very simple. Whenever we are going to use this getter and setter concept, we cannot consider this as a function. Rather, we have to consider this as like simple variable where we can use this as getter and setter. For example, here I have to say just remove this brackets, and that's it. Fine. Now if I try to run this now, and here we are able to see this 1 2 3 4 that is coming from this particular line. Now again here it says that unlock pin is going to again give us the same error. It says that unlock pin is not a function. So again the same reason here we are using this setter concept. So to set the value we have to just give equal to, and here I have to pass my value. Now if I try to run this, of course in this line we are going to get error, so I'm just going to remove this here, and if I try to run this now, it is going to work for sure. So please remember, when we are going to access normal method like this, we have to use this brackets, and whatever the value we are going to pass, we have to pass like this here, right? But in terms of getter and setter, you should consider that as a variable type, and we have to declare this. So that's fine. Now, are we going to use this getter and setter concept in every time? I can say no, most of the time. We rather just use functions, I mean the methods like this, not the getter and setter. So that's not a problem. But of course, you might be faced this question in the interview. So of course, it is good to know about getter and setter as well. Now this is absolutely fine. So this is like we are creating object, we are accessing variables, and we are doing some things. But whatever we have done so far is within the class itself. Now consider that we want to call all these objects outside of my class. So at that point, what should happen? So I'm going to comment this here, and here I'm going to create another class. So that is going to be my mobile.js. And here I'm going to create the object, right? So here I can say const my mobile equal to new mobile, and let us try to call some method. So I'm just going to call maybe make call. So let us call this, and here I have to call this node then followed by my mobile.js. Now if I try to run this, it is going to give us error, says that mobile is not defined. The reason is, in Java, when we create a class, and we can access that class in any of the packages or within the same package like that, right? But in terms of JavaScript, we cannot do that directly, because here we are using this class syntax. Whenever we are going to use this class, we have to export this class manually. Without that, we cannot use that class in any other file. So to do the export, here we can use this exports dot mobile equal to mobile. Now this mobile is actually my class name, whereas this mobile is like alias, I can say. So based on this, we have to create the object. So to create that object, first of all, we have to call that, right? So we have to do the require statement here. So similar to import statement in Java, here in JavaScript, we have to use the require statement. So here I'm going to say const mobile equal to new, not new, sorry. So we have to use this require, and within this we have to pass dot slash, that is means represent the current folder, and then followed by the file name. You can give this .js as well, but that is not mandatory. So we have to mention the file name alone. But even if I try to run this now, it is going to give me the same exact error. The reason is we didn't say the mobile where it's coming from, because we have imported this statement but it is unused. To make use of this, we have to say like new, then followed by mobile dot mobile. So that is my constructor, right? So yes, so that's absolutely fine. Now if I'm going to run this, so it is going to work for sure. Now let us also try to call the private variable as well. So here I'm going to say my mobile dot, then followed by this unlock pin, right? So here if I'm going to run this, of course this is going to give us private field exception, syntax error. That means of course we cannot make use of it outside of the class, but we know we can use this getter and setter concept to change the value or to retrieve the value. So please remember, if you want to make use of your class object within or other file, other JS file, then we have to use this require statement, and here we have to use this mobile. Now coming back here, so if I'm going to change this to maybe mob, now if I go and run this, it is not going to work for sure again. Not this one. So let me just comment this here, and here if I try to run this, so here again we will get this message says that type error mobile.mobile is not a constructor. The reason is I said that this mobile is my class name. So this is the actual class name we are passing, that we are exporting that class. But we are giving this class a name as mob. So in that time it is not going to work for sure. So this mobile object doesn't makes any sense there. So what we have to do is, instead of this mobile, if I try like this mob, then it is going to work for sure again, right? So you have to remember this right hand side is actually your class name, whereas this is like your alias. So you are giving a name to your class, and based on this name you have to make the object or call the constructor based on this constant object, right? So I think that's pretty much enough. The only thing we have to understand is the hoisting concept, right? So I'm just going to, okay, so let me make here itself. So we know that in JavaScript we can declare a function anywhere and we can call that anywhere, right? But if I'm going to try that same concept in the classes, so let's see what's going to happen. So here I'm declaring my class, whereas here I'm trying to I mean to create the object and call the method, right? So if I'm going to run this now, it will give you error says that cannot access mobile for before initialization. That means if you declare this class after your object creation, then it is not going to work for sure. So this is what known as hoisting. So the difference between function declaration and class declaration is the hoisting. In function declaration, we can use this anywhere, but in terms of class declaration, that is not possible. You have to declare the class first, then you have to create the object, or else it is going to give us a reference array. So I think that's pretty much enough for this video. So I believe you have learned something new, and if you like the video, consider giving a like and subscribe to the channel to see more videos on JavaScript and Java, Selenium, Protector, and maybe some other upcoming Chrome extension development as well, right? So that's it guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. If you have any queries or doubts or whatever it is, you can reach out me in LinkedIn or maybe in the YouTube comments. So see you in the next one very soon.